Hi there, and welcome to the Tarot for September 2025. There's so many issues floating around us and staring us in the face that I hardly knew which one to focus on this month. So I asked a more general question that brought a surprising and heartwarming card with some very good insight. Last month, one of the questions I asked was about the future of humanity over the next 5 years. And that question drew the Star card. The Star card is very complex. It's a card of fierce hope in dark times that push us to reach for the stars and accept help from people in higher dimensions and people who travel the stars. So that prompted many thoughts that became the basis of my second question for this month. And then, of course, I consulted the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom to see what advice they had for us this month. So let's see what the cards had to say. And the questions were, question number 1, what is the most important advice from the cards regarding our ability to develop and secure a new earth, which is a new world around us? Number 2, if we reach out for help to the more advanced people who travel the stars, what would we need to know and what would be the result? And then number 3, what advice does the animal kingdom have for us in September? And number 4, what advice does the plant kingdom have for us this month? So the cards drawn, number 1, the Ace of Pentacles. An ace. Woohoo. There were 2 cards drawn for number 2, the 6 of Pentacles and the Ace of Swords. This is a wow combination. Wow. All I can say is wow again. And then for the animal kingdom, I got the prairie dog, number 47 in the animal medicine deck. And from the plant kingdom, I drew a card with advice from a plant I had never heard of. I had to do some research. It's Palo Santo, number 55 in the Herbal Astrology Oracle deck. So let's begin here. And question number 1, what is the most important advice from the cards this month regarding our ability to develop and secure a new earth? And this question came out of my concerns regarding all of the war talk I hear. I was really feeling doubtful about being able to draw any kind of useful insight from whatever card came up. But I was surprised and delighted to draw the Ace of Pentacles. Wow, aces are always positive. And the Ace of Pentacles is part of a set of 8 cards that all point to transformation of worry and fear into balance and success by creatively redirecting our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual situation. It's a card of redirect, go in a new direction. So when you look at this card, you see a hand coming out of the clouds holding a large yellow disc or a pentacle. The hand is cupped under the pentacle and has what looks like a halo highlighting that hand. At the bottom of the card, right in the front, we see a number of lilies, a green landscape, and a path that leads to a garden gateway or an opening through a hedge of roses. That hedge extends off both sides of the card. Seen through the opening in the distance, there's a blue mountain peak, and the sky is light gray. The hand coming out of the clouds is a reminder that we don't know or understand where we or the world came from, but we are to enjoy physical life and everything it offers. The hand is cupped gently around the pentacle. And cups, any kind of cupping, represents feelings. So that represents feelings, and pentacles represent talents and skills of the people. So that's us. How we handle those talents and skills, and what we do with them to shape the physical world around us. The halo around that hand emphasizes the way we handle those feelings, talents, and skills, and reminds us that a bad attitude results in a pretty sad world. Since our question is about security and developing a new earth, this is telling us that first, we have to get in the right frame of mind. Speaking of frames of mind, there are many frames of mind, but a few have been generally categorized, and you might possibly have heard of the bardo as a place where we go or pass through after death when there's no more physical reality and only the reality of your mind exists and what you create. However, since everything is consciousness, the bardo is also a state of mind here on earth, which we experience as the gap between something, a gap between events, or in this case, it's the gap between the old world or our former way of viewing and relating to people and things, and the new world, which will typically feel like your old self has died and you suddenly see the entire reality differently. So this is the card also that celebrates Mother Nature. It's a direct reference to the need to celebrate Mother Nature and culture and whatever heritage has come down to each of us over time. That heritage must be honored regularly with an updated perspective that keeps it alive and serves as a living history of how far we have come and what we have learned along the way. The white lilies in front of the card symbolize beginnings, endings, and ease in life. Beginnings, endings, and ease. Wow. They represent beauty, joy, peace, pleasure, and paradise, suggesting that we aim for those things as we consider our world and what needs to be done to renew it. Aim for beauty, joy, peace, pleasure, paradise. So the green landscape symbolizes freshness, healing, a lot of healing needed these days, and opportunity. But that green warns against being naive or unrealistic or chasing impractical ideas and approaches. The hedge of roses, that's a massive symbol of the beauty of life and how thorny it can be and how transient it can be, because roses don't last forever. Are we supposed to learn to become eternal so that we are no longer transient? Just a thought there, just a seed. Roses are about love, and they remind us that a world without love is no fun. Roses also symbolize enlightenment and connection to the divine within each of us. However, rose bushes and rose hedges can point to secrecy, mystery, intrigue, and illegal or detrimental activity that is cloaked to make it look nice. This kind of illegal or detrimental activity is something we don't want in the world we are moving toward. So be aware. The fact that the rose hedge extends off both sides of the card tells us that, on the one hand, a secure new world might have beauty, love, grace, and elegance that we cannot yet even imagine. And on the other hand, It may have pain, illicit dealings, and thorny problems if we have not yet come to grips with those things. And we will have to do so if we want something new and different. The path leading through that garden gateway toward those blue mountains tells us that there is a way to get to a secure world without war, without suffering, and without massive difficulties. But in doing so, we will need clarity to solve the problems we face, represented by those blue mountain peaks in the distance. The sky is a light gray, which calls for some detachment, first from the old ideas, routines, and lifestyles, and then some detachment from being too rigid in what we think we will encounter in a new and secure world. It is also a reminder to let go of fears that might cause us to overreact in that new world, and then end up setting up rigid new rules designed to deal with the problems of the old world we've already left behind. By realizing that those problems are already behind us. Pentacles are the suit of the physical material world. And the basic meaning of this card is success. This is success that comes from inside the self. And it has to do with the physical material world around us, but also with how we perceive and feel about that world. It's a card that encourages us to bring ourselves into a state of mind that's willing to see, hear, and feel the world as good, and to look for little things that are good, to focus on them, relish them, celebrate those tiny successes and pleasures, whether they involve money, food, people, machines, or whatever, no matter how big or small the success is. The number associated with the ace is the number 1, numeral 1. And the 1 is a number that symbolizes a need to use our magic to manage our situation and to celebrate each step while keeping in mind that there will be many other steps yet to come. This card is known as the Lord of Root Powers. And the key words are mature, wisdom, authority, expertise, logic, fluid, make lasting and purposeful, clever, overly cautious, plotting, obstinate, forceful, matching external and internal success, commanding, and impartial. Nice, very nice. Question number 2. If we reach out for help to the more advanced people who travel the stars, what would we need to know? And what would be the result? So the question had 2 parts to it, so I drew 2 cards, and I got the 6 of Pentacles for what we need to know, and the Ace of Swords for what results we would get. Again, 2 amazing cards with a lot of power and success indicated. Wow. So in looking at the 6 of Pentacles, we see a very rich gentleman standing in front of 2 kneeling beggars who have their hands out. The rich man wears a dark red robe over a blue and white striped tunic, and he has a dark red hat or turban on his head. He wears green boots, and he holds a pair of scales in his left hand, and he's dropping 4 coins into the hands of one of the beggars. The right hand of the rich man is in the form of a blessing similar to the Hierophant in the major arcana. And that's the only 2 places that blessing sign shows up. A castle or city is some distance away in the background. The sky is light gray again, and there are 6 pentacles floating in the sky. The rich man in the dark red robe symbolizes a wealth of skills and talents that he uses to make himself wealthy and make the world a better place for all. So weren't we just talking about skills and talents when discussing the Ace of Pentacles above? It's uncanny how the cards line up to get across a message. The red robe and the turban symbolize his passion and a willingness to follow guidance from deep within his heart and to let that guidance also direct his head and his thinking. The blue in the striped tunic symbolizes clarity and truth, while the white represents a willingness to start with nothing and embark into new territory with new thinking and ideas. He wears boots, and boots represent the heavy work necessary for success. The fact that the boots are green reinforces his willingness to entertain new, out-of-the-box ideas, as well as the caution against immaturity and lack of experience. The scales in his left hand are there to remind us that in order to achieve full success, we must accomplish something we want in the material world and feel deeply satisfied by what we have accomplished. We have to accomplish something in the material world and feel deeply satisfied by that accomplishment. Only then will balance be achieved. A situation of great wealth and worldly success while feeling an inner emptiness is not a balance. And the reverse is also true. Inner or spiritual success that lives in poverty and need and stress is not a balance. And yes, this contradicts many religions that teach money is evil, but the truth is that we are meant to create a world in which everyone has what they need and feels satisfaction and belonging. The 6 pentacles in the sky symbolize giving and taking in harmony, as well as the fact that everything is there for us. It's all there. The 4 tiny coins being dropped into the hands of the beggars represent several things. First, the coins represent how little the rich man would have to give in order to make the lives of those around him so much better. And second, the coins symbolize talents and skills that have been used to make life easier, better, more beautiful, and thus lead the wealthy man to feel enriched and appreciated for what he brings and shares. So both the giver and the receiver feel richer before, and you have a win-win situation. I love that. Since part of our question is about what we would need to know before reaching out to those more advanced beings who travel the stars, the 6 of Pentacles tells us we would need to adopt a whole new view of success in relationships. This new view would be an attitude of win-win and an understanding that success only comes when we understand what true success is and then live by that understanding. So what is that understanding? The 6 of Pentacles is very specific. It says, you must have a strong desire to create real and tangible results, to make an effort to produce those results. Work in a step-by-step manner without being distracted by what is not important. Take risks and expand your thinking when the opportunity arises. Be emotionally committed to the task and a good outcome. Trust your intuition. Communicate clearly and put heart and soul into the task. Wow. That's quite a list. The number 6, the numeral 6, represents paradise lost and paradise regained. A poignant reminder of what we have lost in the last 5 years and what we seek to regain. The 6 of Pentacles is known as the Lord of material success. And keywords are sharing, generosity, smooth sailing, equilibrium, transition to success, steady effort, work, prudence, stability, security conscious, finances, resources, values, debts, accounting, and assistance. Wow. It's really in alignment with what we need to know if we were to reach out. So that second card drawn was to shed light on the results we might expect if we reached out to those beings with higher consciousness and an advanced civilization that moves among the stars. So what I drew was the Ace of Swords. And this is a very powerful card, again, known as the Lord of the root power of intellect. So here we have the Ace of Pentacles, Lord of the root powers. And here we have Lord of the root power of the intellect. This is power in the physical material world, power in the mind, body, mind. Okay, so this card is or brings or contains the power to counter negative thinking. So when you look at the card, you see a hand coming out of the clouds holding a sword straight up in the air. The sword holds a 4-point crown, and the tip of the sword pokes through it, making a 5th point. There's a tree branch from Mother Nature hanging from each side of the crown, and there are 6 droplets of gold that are either falling or perhaps just floating, hovering above the handle on the sword. There are blue and violet mountains all across the bottom of the card, with a wide valley in between 2 peaks, and again, a light gray sky above. So we have 3 clouds or 3 cars with a light gray sky saying, look, you need to detach. Okay. So this card, the Ace of Swords, is sometimes seen as the mirror of humanity. A mirror of humanity. It represents us and our level of consciousness as the crown of creation that has not yet reached the peak of its potential. So, swords represent an unlimited resource of clarity, decisiveness, inspiration, and creativity that's always available in the mind, always. The Ace of Swords also symbolizes the mind as a portal to other states of consciousness, other worlds, and other dimensions. And this card comes up when there is a need to cut off doubt and erase confusion, and then walk totally into the light. In fact, this card is the symbol of the inspired, innovative, creative, and expanded mind. Every culture in the world makes crowns as an acknowledgement of an expanded mind able to inspire others. And that four-pointed crown is the symbol of that expansion of consciousness in every area of life, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. All four areas of life, four-pointed crown. The tip of the sword, which makes the fifth point, symbolizes the power that comes with complete awakening. The light gray sky in the background urges a cool, calm detachment from biases and prejudices in order to use that power. And the green branches hanging from each side of the crown represent Mother Nature. Mother Nature, which is the greatest, most formidable, and wondrous power in our entire world. Can I say that again? The green branches hanging from each side of the crown represent Mother Nature, which is the greatest, most formidable, and most wondrous power in our entire world. These branches remind us that we must learn to maintain a relationship with that great power if we want to survive and thrive. And they invite us into the secrets of the big forces that form, shape, and move our world. The 6 droplets of gold symbolize the divine spark of consciousness that can transform any negative state or situation and provide the will with enough clarity and energy to make potent choices. They tell us that wise decisions will make life wonderful, and that is how life should be. Little droplets of gold in every life. The blue and violet mountains at the bottom of the card with those 2 main peaks separated by a wide valley symbolize the need to clarify your goals and make a conscious decision as to which peak you wish to reach or which world you want to live and grow in. Going to have to make a conscious choice. Since our question here was about what to know and what would be the results of reaching out to advanced beings for help, these 2 cards, the 6 of Pentacles and the Ace of Swords, tell us that before we seek help from advanced beings, we must first understand and accept a basic change in our approach to life that demands a win-win, give and receive way of being. Then we must grasp the fact that an expansion of consciousness is required that eases or erases doubt, brings clarity, and then we must make a conscious choice as to which world we want to be part of, the old world or a new world. The old world is a known. The new world is a mystery yet to be created. Swords are the weapons of the intellect that uses words, thoughts, and opinions to carry out mental activity that then drives physical activity. So the intellect has everything to do with recognition, understanding, and learning. Recognition, understanding, and learning, basically with everything that makes life easier to live. And we must learn to use our intellect to reverse sorrow, confusion, fear of futility, and defeat. For many people, this would be a big task. In addition, far too many of us are in the habit of overanalyzing until we're in such a tangle, we don't know what to do or what to think. We end up caught in confusion and thinking that nothing we do will help or make a difference. And that is not true. And one of the main messages of this card, the Ace of Swords, is stop wounding yourself with your thoughts. You are hurting yourself with your own thoughts. It tells us, open up. It reminds us of Shakespeare's words also associated with this card. There are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy. So expand. Might that include people who move among the stars like we drive around town? People who are willing to help if we are willing to make changes? Is it telling us do not give up on fixing our situation? If advanced people from another race of humans elsewhere in the galaxy landed on planet Earth tomorrow, could you turn on a dime and shift your thinking to a completely positive mode? Just because the greater mass of humanity does not have the propaganda tools and media to broadcast its intentions, goals, and plans for the future, does not mean that our intentions, goals, and plans for the future do not exist or are irrelevant. No, quite the contrary. The corrupt cast of characters we are dealing with must keep broadcasting their propaganda constantly because they are the minority and they know it. If they don't keep broadcasting, they know their plans will be quickly swept away by the great mass of people and consciousness they are surrounded by. Keywords for the Ace of Swords are inspiration, seed, strength in adversity, facing the truth, mental activity, receptive, obliging, flexible, imaginative, dynamic, expansive, power, justice, force, and decisiveness. So, question number 3. What advice does the animal kingdom have for us this month? I always love the messages from the animal kingdom. And the message for this month comes from the prairie dog, number 47 in the animal medicine deck. This little creature is all about retreat and community. Wow. There's a little poem at the start of the prairie dog entry in the reference book, and it goes, "Prairie dog calls me when it's time to rest, when it's time to honor the internal quest. I go into retreat so I may see a way to replenish the potential in me." Love that. So this is in line with something I've been seeing for a month or two. We in the US and the West have been slowly turning in a new direction. We are at the tipping point, and we're tipping in the right direction. So when this kind of transition takes place, it's critically important to step back just a bit, get quiet, and fortify yourself for the next step in the journey. Prairie Dog teaches that the strength and inspiration needed to recreate and secure community can be found by retreating into the stillness that quiets the mind. He tells us it's time to replenish our life force, to seek visions and dreams that inspire and guide. Ted Andrews, the author of Animal Speak, says, quote, "No other animal except for the wolf epitomizes the idea of community more than the prairie dog," end quote. Prairie dogs live in a town, and the town is all underground. It's all underground tunnels and rooms. And various prairie dog families live together in one section of town, and they take turns guarding one another and their town. So is part of the message here that we must begin guarding our communities and protect one another from predators? Prairie Dog advises us that when we have been battling a situation without gaining much ground, It's time to stop pushing. We may be creating the very resistance that we're trying to fight. It tells us stop, retreat, and watch. Look for an opportunity for dialogue and interaction. During the retreat is when we will have the opportunity to renew energy, review our own thoughts, and reevaluate our direction. This brings new perspectives and often new insights and some lessons. Have the dynamics of our situation changed? If we retreat, what will the aggressors have to push against, and who will they have to fight? If we're not there, will they be left standing there with weapons, rules, and dictates hanging uselessly in midair? Prairie Dog says that when the predator is at the front door, it's time to head for the back door and exit the scene. Sometimes it advises just going with the flow. However, it warns that it takes a lot of strength to stop pushing, stop worrying, and appear to go with the flow. This conserves your energy while the predator continues to expend huge amounts of energy of his own in useless efforts. An interesting question raised by Prairie Dog asks, have you become addicted to the adrenaline created by fighting, hurrying, and scurrying to keep up with the latest information? It warns, and rightly so, that you can get sick from the chaos of stress and overactivity. And this may bring about an enforced period of retreat and rest. Constant stress saps your energy and makes it difficult to be imaginative or to think on your feet. Cemeteries are filled with people who could not stop pushing too hard. Don't join them. Step back a bit. Take a few deep breaths. And don't associate retreat or compromise with weakness or defeat. When Prairie Dog shows up, it's time to become more actively involved in community, usually because some changes are needed. Communities survive because people go through periods of rest and celebration. Try it. You'll be surprised at what a little relaxation and rest can bring about in you, your family, and your community. Retreat and attend to community. Question number 4, what advice does the plant kingdom have for us this month? And my question to the plant kingdom brought a card with something I'd never heard of before. Palo Santo. Number 55 in the Herbal Astrology Oracle deck. This plant is native to Central and South America, and it's known as sacred wood. Its use traces all the way back to the Inca, and it's still used today to cleanse bad energy, which is the equivalent of shifting one's energy body and frequency matrix in order to change consciousness. I think it burns, you burn some wood and you inhale the smoke. Palo Santo brings gifts, and these include an awareness of past lives. Wow. And a connection to the ancestors who are alive and well in the next world and who often reach back to try to help those still alive in the 3D physical world. How many of us are carrying the pain of past lives? And that includes the more recent past in this life of childhood, teen years, or even our early marriages and divorces. How many of us have ancestral burdens that get in our way that we don't even know about? How can we create a new and better world if we can't let go of past pain? One thing is for sure, you can't have a 4D or 5D world if you're still wrestling or squelching anger, embarrassment, or sorrow gotten from your 3D experiences. The Palo Santo plant changes thinking and consciousness that causes pain, discomfort, sorrow, grief, sickness, and many other forms of imbalance. The Inca used it to clear negativity, thinking, depression, rejuvenate the body-mind system completely. Even today, studies show that this plant relieves stress and anxiety, returning the individual to peace and balance. It even reduces pain in the joints and muscles, muscle aches. The Palo Santo plant is aligned with Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth. Is Palo Santo coming to us as a message that we are in the death process now and are headed toward rebirth? Pluto is renowned for its destruction of corrupt people and systems. It has a reputation for transforming society, especially societies that have gotten lost in secrecy, lies, and manipulation for selfish ends. Revolution and collapse are common when Pluto comes around, and Palo Santo helps deal with that. This plant encourages us to create a set of strong intentions and then burn a little of its wood, or simply invoke its power to unlock our innate power. This is the power to see, know, or act in ways that clear our own energy and bring about that which we set as our intentions. It encourages us to dip into past lives to find skills, talents, and abilities that could be used today. Palo Santo releases intuition and opens clairvoyance. It brings wisdom and helps guide us to navigate the world, especially once we recognize that everything is energy. And just because energy is invisible doesn't mean we can't see or sense its effects and then navigate wisely and well. Palo Santo comes around to help during times when there is a need to outwit the smartest and strongest of tricksters. Can I say that again? Palo Santo comes around to help during times when we need to outwit the smartest and strongest of tricksters. People lying, cheating, or trying to convince us to do what they want us to do. Are we in one of those times now? Yeah, I think so. So Palo Santo reminds us that we are guardians of the sacred. We have walked many paths in many lives, learning tips and tricks, discovering how to avoid traps and potholes, all while neutralizing the hatreds and venom of those on the dark side by just turning their plans upside down and refusing to play. The goal of Palo Santo is stunning. Its goal is a race of aware, intuitive, powerful people, a golden race of aware, intuitive, powerful people who leave a legacy of wisdom and love for those who will follow them. So that's it for this tarot. Let's sum up what we have said. Question number 1. What is the most important advice from the cards this month regarding our ability to develop and secure a new earth? And the card drawn was the Ace of Pentacles, a powerful card representing our ability and need to transform worry and fear into success and balance. by redirecting our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual situation. Just go in a new direction. It encourages us to gather our collective skills, talents, and cultural heritage, update them, because there's always new things to learn and understand when you update your heritage, and then find a way to use those skills, collective talents, abilities, and heritage to avoid war and suffering. In doing so, we will create a path to building and securing that new world for ourselves. The Ace of Pentacles admits that life is beautiful, but can be transient and thorny. It tells us we must deal with the thorny problems if we want a better world. This is not a card of magical escape. It is a card of love, beauty, elegance, and invitation to move into a world that reconstitutes the idea of paradise regained by rebuilding our physical material world to work much better, much differently. Question number 2. If we reach out for help to the more advanced people who travel the stars, what would we need to know and what would be the result? And there were 2 cards drawn here, the 6 of Pentacles and the Ace of Swords. And what a combination they are. The 6 of Pentacles is all about using our talents and skills to make the world a better place for all. It says if we want help from advanced people, we must have a strong desire to create real and tangible results. You can't fake it, okay? We have to make an effort to produce those results. Work in a step-by-step manner without being distracted by what's not important. Take risks and expand our thinking when the opportunity arises. Be emotionally committed to the task and a good outcome. We have to trust our intuition, communicate clearly, and put heart and soul into the task. Now that is quite a list of requirements. So then we have the Ace of Swords, which is the mirror of humanity that reflects our consciousness back to us in the form of our worldly experience. What happens to you in the world is not an accident. It's the world's response to your consciousness. So this card encourages the expansion of consciousness in order to make choices that bring us what we want and that make life easier to live. It gives us permission to slice negativity right out of our lives and warns against thinking that we have no power, that our efforts are useless, or that the powers that want to be hold all the cards and have all the power. No. Together, these 2 cards are hinting that perhaps advanced people are not interested in helping those who do not want to help themselves. Remember that. Question number 3 was, what advice does the animal kingdom have for us this month? And the advice comes from the prairie dog, who's all about retreat and community. This little creature tells us that perhaps it's time to withdraw a little, rest, renew ourselves, rethink what we are doing, and focus on securing the community we belong to. It counsels retreat in order to restore strength and get ready for the next challenge. It also says it's wise to stop pushing, stop fretting, and just go with the flow of what is happening, even though that requires some strength. This carries us forward to a new place and gives us a new perspective on things. Prairie dog warns against thinking that going with the flow or stopping to rest and retreat is a sign of weakness. It's not. Instead, it tells us that first and foremost, we must anchor the community, replenish our energy, and update our vision. Then we can move forward again. And last, what advice does the plant kingdom have for us this month? And the plant offering its wisdom was Palo Santo, a plant known as sacred wood, used to clear fear and bring awareness of past lives in order to bring strength and gifts from our past that would be helpful in navigating a death and rebirth process. Go back to your past lives. What have you learned, seen, understood, experienced that strengthened you or that gave you insight that you need, that we all need to navigate the process we're in right now? Palo Santo brings intuition and clairvoyance that opens the curtain on corruption. Amazing. It is closely aligned with Pluto, who helps to clear that corruption through disintegration, revolution, and collapse, while Palo Santo helps clear the minds and energies that were caught in the corruption. This plant has a goal of creating a golden race of aware, intuitive, powerful people who leave a legacy of wisdom and love behind them. A wonderful plant to have as this month's ambassador from the plant kingdom. So that's it for the month of September. All of the messages this month seem to form a theme of clearing old ideas and fears, using whatever skills and abilities we have, and directing our attention towards success without getting into thinking that, oh, we have no power, our situation is hopeless. No. It's not hopeless, and we're not helpless. I especially liked Prairie Dog's advice to stop pushing and replenish our energy so we are ready for what comes next, which might be a golden race of wise, powerful people, or maybe ETs landing in your backyard. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful month.